for not only inviting me to this book launch, but doing me the favor of making me the chairman of the occasion. The book we gathered here today to witness its launch, On a Platter of Gold, How Jonathan Won and Lost Nigeria, from my reading comes across as an excellent, fascinating and broadly credible narrative about the presidency of Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the man who held sway as the leader of Africa's most hopeless country, continuously from 9th February 2010 to 29th May 2015, either as acting president, a substantive president who completed the term of his principal, the late President Umaru Musa YAR'ADUA, or as a duly elected president. The book chronicles the astonishing story of a man who rose from virtual obscurity to power and fame, if not fortune, literally within the twinkle of an eye, and who then lost them as past. As a person saddled with the main and simple task of setting the tone for this event, it is not my intention to preempt the reviewer of this book, but suffice it to say that On a Platter of Gold is an insider's compelling rendition of how former President Jonathan overcame the considerable obstacles of being an ethnic minority with a poor peasant pedigree, with little or no political background or structure, got catapulted to the dizzying heights of the highly coveted Nigerian presidency in a record time, and who, through the interplay of ethnic, religious, political, and economic forces, and I dare to say, sheer display of bad judgment, lack of political sagacity, and willpower, squandered the enormous goodwill he commanded, and subsequently got humiliated out of office. Within a short time after his ascendancy, to paraphrase the author of the book, he went from the man who could do no wrong, the faultless, to the clueless, from the most followed president in the world on Facebook to the most cursed president. Dr. Jonathan's political stock did rise in a short time and in a spectacular manner, but his administration's poor handling, response to the most important issues affecting Nigerians at the time, such as the fuel subsidy scandal, the Boko Haram insurgency, and the general crisis of insecurity, particularly the abduction of the Chibok girls, the crisis in the then ruling party, the PDP, to mention some, left much to be desired, and led to a rapid and alarming erosion in the then president's popularity, and created the perception, real or imagined, among Nigerians and beyond our shores, that he was insensitive to the plight and sufferings of his people. Thus, his fairy tale rise to power and his honeymoon with Nigerian people were quickly forgotten and culminated in the unprecedented defeat of a sitting president by an opposition candidate in Nigeria. Although his manner of conceding defeat earned him a lot of praise and a hero status, the fact is even the most ardent supporters of Dr. Jonathan know he should have ended under much better circumstances. It goes without saying that the stewardship of President Jonathan is such a turbulent period of our national life has and will continue to shape for good or bad the fortunes of our country. The lesson for us, members of the political class, therefore, is that we must at all times place the national interest above all other considerations and must assiduously work at building national consensus. Not everyone will, of course, agree with Mallam Bolaji Abdullahi's recollection of the events of that very interesting epoch of our political history, or even with the style of the presentation. Nevertheless, he deserves the commendation of all and sundry for this very bold effort at documenting the events of a particular time of our nation's contemporary history. I not only strongly recommend it to all scholars and students of history and politics, but to politicians, policymakers, activists, and journalists, amongst others, and hope that this book will inspire others to also give an account of their experiences, perspectives, and opinions of these and other periods of our nation's still unfolding political history. The fortunes of this country is in the hands of us, the ladies and gentlemen gathered here today. Sadly, Borno was at the epicenter of the whole crisis that engulfed the Jonathan administration. President Jonathan, this is the second book I am reading on the Jonathan saga. The first was written by my very good friend Olusegun Adeniyi. I see President Jonathan as essentially a decent person, an unsophisticated country bumpkin caught up in the vortex of power politics in Nigeria. When the Chibok girls saga started, they made the president to believe that there was no abduction. The Chibok girls were kidnapped by the governor of Borno State. He used to call it Borno, let me use his own way of speaking. They were captured, they were kidnapped by the governor of Borno State, ostensibly to embarrass the Jonathan administration. And he believed that line of story. I was in Chibok, my wife was in Chibok. There was global outcry against the abduction, but he was in a world of his own, created by the clowns and all sorts of misfits surrounding him. I wasn't invited to Abuja until nearly 3 weeks later. But even when I was invited to Abuja, I was quite thrilled that at last I am getting the attention of my leader. I was asked to come along with the Commissioner of Police, with the DPO in Chibok, with the Commissioner of Education, with the military commander in Chibok, and the director of SSS in Borno. We are all ushered into the villa. Sadly, when the president came in, he was still in that world of make-believe. He started threatening the principal that he should tell them where the girls are. Principal, you must tell me where those girls are. Commissioner of Police, you have to tell me. He immediately ordered for the arrest of the principal, the DPO, the Commissioner of Police, and the Director of SSS that they must produce the girls. In this very unfortunate saga, MD Abubakar, the then Inspector General of Police, arrested them, took them to the police headquarters, and he told them, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot fall onto you because I am a man of conscience. I will let go of you based on celeb recognition. And they were released to go back to their hotel room. So I was quite shocked. I was quite taken aback. I thought solutions are going to be found to a very grave national challenge. Instead, the president was still of the mindset that those girls were not abducted. And that goes to show the quality of leadership in this country. Incidentally, the brigade commander in Chibok is an Ijo man. One captain, God knows. And because they know the president is such a very unsophisticated simpleton, he is such an honest man. They knew that if they had brought in his kinsman, they could have gotten him confused. So they deliberately refused to bring the brigade commander in Chibok. And that eluded the president from getting a true perspective on the issues at stake. But we have to give it to him. that by conceding defeat, he saved the nation from the precipice. There was a time he wanted to remove me at all costs. At the Federal Executive Council, they were all speaking in the same way that, no, this Borno governor, you have to remove him. He embarrassed the government. He is the problem. Two Nigerians stood out. He sought for the opinion of Mohamed Bello Adoke, the then Attorney General. Bello Adoke said, Mr. President, you have no power to remove even an elected councillor. Then he sought the opinion of the other senior advocate of Nigeria in his team, the Minister of Special Duties, Turaki. And Turaki concurred with his junior colleague that, Mr. President, you have no power to remove a sitting governor. And that was how the matter died. This book is an interesting book. It has a lot of interesting packages. I don't want to preempt my very good friend here, Dele Momodu. I think we'll get coverage in the ovation. And of course, my friend, Doctor will make a write-up on this in his next column in the Daily Post. We hope so. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, the Senate President, thank you so much. A Nigeria project, but by surrounding himself with men of quality. If you mention Obasanjo, the names that literally come to mind are those of Obi Ezekwesili, Aliko Dangote, Femi Otedola, Jim Obia, Tony Elumelu, Nasir El-Rufai, Nuhu Ribadu, Bukola Saraki. Nigerians of timber and caliber, quality Nigerians who have the capacity to add value to the system. And Obasanjo, take it or leave it, amongst all those people. The only Yoruba man among them was Femi Otedola. And he wasn't even deep in the power circuit. But when you think of President Jonathan, with all due respect, he surrounded himself with an assorted crop of religious bigots, tribal kingos, all sorts of reactionary elements. Ateke Tom, Government Tom Polo, led Oronto Douglas, Asari Dokubo, Edwin Clark, Ayori Sejako. You know, I don't know. So, ladies and gentlemen, we owe it a duty to humanity. And because he's such an honest man, recently he confided in Senator Ben Bruce that his major undoing was his poor relationship with the Borno governor. That's JEJ for you. We are wishing him the best of luck in his retirement years and a greater country. He can redeem himself by serving God and humanity, by serving Africa. We are wishing him all the best. And of course, to my very good friend Bolaji Abdullahi, well done for a very good job. Thank you so much. And we politicians, we talk a lot, so you will have to bear with us. My leader, you will have to bear with us, because if you give a platform to a politician, he can talk ad infinitum. But on a final note, I want to make a fervent appeal to all of us. I just spoke at the Gusau Institute. I will continue speaking that song, singing that song. The hope for the black man, believe me, ladies and gentlemen, the hope for the black man rests not with the hard-drinking South Africans, with due apology, It doesn't rest with the obsequious Kenyans. The hope for the black man rests with the people of this country. And we have to make this country work. Only 2 million Syrians knocking on the doors of Europe, and it post-Brexit is brought about Trumpian victory in America. If Nigeria is to implode, God forbid, if Nigeria is to implode, where are we going to go? The population of Niger is not up to the population of Kano State. We can eat up the entire food reserves of Niger within a week. Down is the Atlantic Ocean. Our western side are the tiny nations of Togo, Benin Republic, Ghana, Senegal, and the rest. On our eastern side are the mountain ranges of Cameroon and Central African Republic, themselves contending with their problems. So it's in our enlightened self-interest as elites to make this nation work. Because if 30 million Nigerians are to knock on the doors of Europe, will cause reverberations around the world. People are talking of artificial intelligence. Other nations are talking of nanotechnology, of robotics engineering. Elon Musk is talking about constricting the journey from London to New York to 31 minutes. But unfortunately, the topical issue in Nigeria is restructuring. Restructuring my foot. To hell with restructuring. Let's improve on the quality of governance. Let's work for the people. Let's invest in education. Let's create jobs. All this madness will evaporate. I raise my case.